What an asshole!
Podcasting from Basshole Studios in Hollywood, California. You're listening to I'm an Asshole with Doug Bass. We've all been one, so let's talk about it. Now, here's your host, Doug Bass.
He's an asshole, sir.
He's an asshole.
Hey, welcome to I'm an Asshole with Doug Bass. I am your host, Doug Bass. Thanks for joining us today on, this is a very hot day in Los Angeles. We are in the studio today sweating to give you this great interview with my good friend, Obie the Comedian. Obie.
Nope, that's not me.
And there's my dog, Waffles. My dog, Waffles, insists to be in the studio when we do this stuff. And my other dog is barking outside of the door. Great start, sound-wise. Fantastic. Obie, how are you?
Great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thanks for coming to Hollywood, into the studio. I appreciate it. I know people are risking their lives coming to do a podcast during COVID, so thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure, my friend.
I like that hat. What is that hat you're wearing there?
It's from the Joshua Tree.
If people are not watching the YouTube, that is the Joshua Tree. Yeah, I was just in Joshua Tree for the first time. You've been there a couple times?
I just once went to Palm Springs and we took a day trip out to Joshua Tree, and it was amazing out there, climbing the rocks, just getting into some trouble.
Yeah, you got to be careful out there, though. I kept thinking of that movie, that was the James Franco movie. When
127 hours.
Yeah,
I thought the same thing.
I was like, oh my! I started climbing a rock, and then I thought of that, and I was like, no, this is not a good idea.
Yeah, I climbed to like the tallest rocks, and my wife was just like, "Get down!"
Yeah.
I was like, "No, I got to do this. Who knows when we're gonna be back?"
Exactly. Yeah, you got to do it. So, Obie the Comedian. Obie, you are a stand-up comic. You are from the Boston area originally, right?
Yep.
What part of Boston?
Somerville.
Somerville. All right. See, I don't know Boston that well. My wife's from the Boston area. I don't know you that well. So this is a good chance for us to get to know each other on a podcast. We met through my wife's mutual friend, your friend. And now you just moved to LA back in October.
Yep, we made the move from Boston. We left, I think, like the end of September, like September 27th. And we took 3 weeks to move out here. We saw the sights across the country. We stopped in all kinds of different places. It was amazing. It took 17 days, and we got here. We stayed at an Airbnb in WeHo.
In WeHo, yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
hot.
so you arrived here. You had a few good months.
Yeah, just a few.
Just a few, and then COVID hit.
Yeah, it's been tough. No, we got lucky.
Right.
That's what we keep saying is we got to see a lot of pre-COVID life in LA. We got to really enjoy going out, the nightlife. It was amazing, but thank God we got to do that now because then it shut down. It's just so depressing around here.
I know. So how long have you been doing stand-up comedy in Boston? Is that where you started in Boston?
That's where I started. I never did a lot of it back then. I really, this is like a dream I've wanted to do for almost 10 years. I've been putting it off, and I just got sucked down that corporate job role in marketing.
What do you do for work?
I'm a marketing consultant right now.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
So that keeps you busy.
Keeps me busy, pays some of the bills at least.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that I was doing that for a while, and I just got so sick and tired of the corporate life, and then worked at a startup down in Florida, and then I transitioned out of that, and then the opportunity to move came up. I'm like, well, if we don't do this now, we're never going to do it.
Right.
And then we put it all together. That happened in July, and then come September, we're hitting the road. Left our apartment, took 3 weeks to get over here, and then here we are, and it's just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had a few good months of LA open mics.
Yeah.
Comedy. Comedy shows maybe. Attending stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was at the Laugh Factory and the Comedy Store all the time, and then was doing open mics at the Comedy Office.
Right.
And then just a few other ones here and there, but it's honestly just as I started to get started, everything just shut down.
I know. That sucks. I mean, it's hard for I've only been doing stand up for 4 or 5 years, I guess.
Really? I thought you'd been doing it so much longer. You're so good.
Well, I'm not that great. I mean, I'm learning my voice still. I'm finding it right now on this podcast. That's what's happening. But yeah, I mean, I feel like there's for me and so many other comics that are on the same level time wise of me, it's kind of like, oh my God, things were just getting kind of good, or just getting comfortable,
finding a rhythm.
Finding stuff, and now everything's shut down for a while. So it's like a lot of people are in limbo and are resulting to Zoom shows or podcasts like this or whatever. But yeah, I can't imagine wanting to do this for such a long time, finally getting the guts and the nerve to come out here and do it, having a glimpse of it and then getting it taken away like for a period, being like, no, you can't do it right now.
I'm starting to think that maybe I misread the universe in my dream. I came out here and everything just happened, so I think it's my fault. COVID happened.
No, of course
I broke the world.
No, but it's like everyone has their own level of like dealing with this. So it's like, yeah, people that are just starting here like you, or and then people have been doing, but then the people that are very successful, that's all they do, so like they don't even have a job, or for them to go back to doing some other job because this isn't available right now, stand up. That's got to be kind of a mind fuck for them in a way, I would think.
Yeah,
now the fucking fire engines are coming down the street. See, this is what happens when you broadcast a podcast down the street from the fire department in Hollywood.
Love it. No, it just adds
Perfect
to it.
location.
No, honestly, I think unless you're like a really big name in comedy, I think it's going to be very hard for a lot of people. I think all the big names can, I think I've seen people just cooking food and just telling jokes the whole time, and they're killing it. But those are the big name people. But everybody else, I think it's going to be hard for them. They're trying to find new ways. I've hit my depression in it. I've been in a real creative slump and just trying to figure it out. But I'm trying to see the positives in this. Is of you kind of get to slow down, take a step back, and like really get to work creatively on projects maybe you didn't have time for before.
Yeah, there's more. You can write more. You can produce online content like we were saying, like podcasts, sketch videos, whatever, filmmaking. You can do all that stuff.
I think people were just kind of this rhythm of just pumping out content because it was like content is king. Just keep powering through it. And then now people can kind of slow down and maybe put out a little more quality content that people can enjoy more, because people are always like, oh, someone's like attention span's like 30 seconds, so just be quick and funny and that's it.
Right.
But now it's like people might be like, yeah, I'm willing to watch a 3-minute video and laugh my ass off the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think in some ways we'll see some different stuff. I think comedians
that's
that can
that's
adapt.
the interesting thing, is because like people are saying that since people are home now and not commuting to work and stuff, like they're not listening or watching longer content like YouTube videos or podcasts like this,
which they should be. Yeah.
This is like, okay, like I want to do like an hour podcast, and people are only listening to like 5 minutes of it, because they're home and they're out doing other shit. So now I think like I should just take each episode and cut it into like 10-minute things. Like,
no, I think
spread it out over the week.
My background's in marketing, and it was very much so like quick content, right? Because people just don't have the attention span and just don't care. But I think now it's shifting. I'm seeing that big change. I'm seeing like a lot of stats that people are watching videos for longer and more repeatedly, and I think that's the better way to go. So I think any comedian that can take advantage of that and make quality content that lasts a little bit longer and it's enjoyable and keeps them on your page, I think they're going to see a lot more success.
Yeah, and it's interesting, compared to doing the open mics. I don't know if you've done any like comedy Zoom shows or anything like that.
No.
It's very weird. It's different, but it's it's almost like you can take your own time and your own material and work on it even more so now, because you're not relying on waiting at a coffee shop open mic for 3 hours for 2 minutes of time or whatever. But
I had a few opportunities to do the Zoom shows, and I was watching a few because, like, again, coming out here and being basically brand new to the comedy and knowing what to do, like I just kind of like, all right, let me see how people are going to adapt to this. And I watched it, and they were awful. Like I said,
it's more like a talk show. It's more like this. It's more like, let's get on there and shoot the shit and see what happens.
It was just hard because it's like the whole point of like live comedy is you feed off the crowd. You know when to double down on a joke. You know when to back off if maybe the crowd's not feeling it, right? You don't get that same thing. And I know people are keeping their microphones on for some of it, but this like all of a sudden there's now loud feedback, and it's just a whole shitty experience.
Right. Now, do you feel, obviously you may feel discouraged at a time like this when there isn't, you can't get out there and do stand-up, even though you're living in the crux of it, Will this deter you at all from, like, wanting to pursue stand-up still here in L.A.?
No, I just think if anything, it's going to help me really take a step back and focus more on creating that quality content myself, right? Because I was just kind of putting stuff out and not knowing what I'm doing. And now I'm like, all right, like I have so many ideas. Like I'm sitting on 10 years of a dream of wanting to do this. I have like a notepad in my iPhone that I can scroll through. It takes me like 3 to 5 minutes of just a million ideas and concepts. So I
write down a lot of ideas
all the time. So I'm not short of content. Now it's just like find the time and like put together something quality that people are going to enjoy. And that's kind of where my focus has been right now. So I've just been kind of doing that because I don't always want to do it in like a week burst and then I get nothing for a week. So I've been like really like looking through all my old photos, all my old videos, like everything. And I'm just like, oh man, like again, not short on content. It's just
what was the comedy scene like in Boston?
It was good, but it was tough. I would say it's in some ways it's not as supportive as it is out here. That's one of the reasons why I didn't really enjoy it. I feel like you had to be like a really badass comedian like Dane Cook or Bill Burr who could just those guys are gritty and they can handle that. And I just when I was out there, I didn't really like the lack
more
of
people
support.
like stepping on your back.
Yeah, it wasn't really like let's all lift each other up because we're all trying to do the same thing. It was more like it was just dog eat world, and it wasn't really fun. It was vicious, and it was like I knew that's kind of showbiz kind of thing.
I mean,
but
they kind of say that. I mean, I started stand up here in LA, and they say the East Coast, New York, Boston. It's definitely like grittier and like
it's vicious, but it's not friendly, and it's not like you guys like there's no shortage of funny material in the world, so it's like you don't have to cut somebody down. Like it isn't like, hey, like an open mic, like if I get this role, like you can't do it too. It's like, no man, you're fine.
Right.
And so it was just like no support out there. So that's kind of I started to get into it like a while ago, and then it just wasn't what I expected it to be. So I just kind of dialed that back, and then before you know it, 5 years go by, and we're on the decade mark, and I was like, what am I doing?
Well, it's good that you got out here. I know that like as soon as things snap back, the stages are waiting for you. So I'm glad that you have that, that urge to get out there still.
Definitely don't want it to deter me. I think if something like this outside factor is going to deter you, then I don't think it was ever right for you in the first
exactly.
place. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
if anything,
you didn't really have it in you to begin with to want to pursue it.
Yeah, because if this is tough, I mean, I know. I mean, I've seen how bad hecklers can be. If you can't handle a pandemic.
This is the biggest heckler of all, this COVID.
Yeah, and if you can't handle this, then you're not going to be able to handle someone shitting on you on the stage, not laughing at the jokes. So.
Yeah, no.
Just, man, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Absolutely.
Unless you get COVID and then you die. But
Right, yeah. Which is possible. Wear your masks, people.
Yeah.
Wear your masks. So now you are also a vegan.
Yes, I am.
You are I think you're the only vegan stand-up that I know.
I know. That's why I'm gonna work. I'm definitely gonna lean into that.
Maybe
a lot.
I'm wrong, but yeah, I like. So is that incorporated in your material, your act?
Yeah, definitely. I'm working on a few jokes there. It's different because you got to kind of make it work. Because like, vegan is not like the most popular thing in the world. It's definitely growing and people eating more plant-based, eating healthier. Right. But as far as like comedy, it's kind of one of those things like you can make jokes about it, but you're also dissing probably a large portion of the crowd. So it's like you have to be very careful how you're doing it. So like I'm trying to tailor that to maybe I go to open mics at held at like Sugar Tacos, one of my absolute favorite places to go. And
yeah, we went there with you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And they have open mics. I think they don't do it anymore, but they had it. I'm like, if I was to go there, I feel like that crowd there would resonate better with that material.
Right. Now, how long have you been a vegan?
I'd say solid for about 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're kind of new.
Yeah, fairly new, but I was basically vegetarian before that. I always call myself like a 98% vegan. So
okay.
In Boston, a lot of things like
how is vegan in Boston? I feel like that would be hard.
It
like,
was at
in
first.
LA. You fit in. There's a lot of vegans.
Incredible. Yeah, out in Boston, it's definitely growing in popularity. And my wife would be cooking a lot, so that was kind of the way around it. But like I said, it'd be like the 98% vegan, where like sauces wouldn't be vegan. So I'm like, all right, I'll just deal with it. But
now your wife is a vegan as well.
Yep.
Was she a vegan first?
Yeah.
Or did you guys meet and you're both like, no, we're both vegans. This is great.
No, yeah, she's been a vegan for a while. I mean, I think she hasn't been eating meat for almost like 20 years.
Okay.
Now.
So did she kind of persuade you to switch to the vegan side?
No, it's just she just kept introducing these amazing fucking foods that were like these great alternatives.
Right.
Were just blowing my mind. Like any of the Beyond
Because
brands.
those are the people that I kind of meet. Like they used to eat meat and then they like date someone who's a vegan and then they're a vegan all of a sudden. Or something like, it's like, well, she's making this.
That doesn't work.
Or this is in the house,
I feel like that just if you do that, you have this burning urge to just fucking put a real sausage in your mouth any chance you can get when you're not with your significant other. You know what I mean? Or
now I like I have nothing against vegans. I'm not vegan, but I do like the vegan food.
Yeah.
I pretty much will eat anything. I will try anything once. I will eat anything.
Yeah.
I do like meat. I try to eat more. I try to eat more vegetables lately and that kind of stuff. And I've bought the the Beyond Burgers. I do like those.
It's incredible.
Yeah, but they're good. Like I can kind of like I can see myself going like every other meal, like switching back and forth or something like that for me.
Yeah, I mean, even doing that is going to be better for you because really, I did it for a lot of reasons. I think primarily it started out for me of just the health reasons. I remember being like 30 and I had like high blood pressure at my last doctor visits because high blood pressure runs in my family. Both my parents have it, and it was like shocking to me. This guy's like, oh yeah, maybe by mid 30s you may have to be on some kind of medication. I'm like, you fucking serious? And so like that freaked me out, and that's when I was like,
that's
all right,
important.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm done with red meat, and then so that was the first step, and I kind of just transitioned. So it was like no red meat, and then it was like just chicken only, and then no chicken, and then just fish only. And then eventually just made it to all veggies, and like it was just amazing in like 6 months by cutting out meat, just how much better my body felt. I just had a clearer mind.
Now, what about clothes? Like,
clothes.
are you a vegan that are like, I can't wear leather, I can't, this is made out of this, I can't, have this in my house?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. There's different levels of it. So like when you hear vegan, it's such a loaded word. Like I typically don't I won't get leather stuff.
Right.
If anything.
Leather.
Yeah, pleather. Like I have a leather jacket look amazing in, but it's not real leather.
Right.
So it's tough with that stuff. But really, yeah, that's like a super hardcore vegan. So vegan has such a different connotation to it. I'm more like plant-based.
And I have a couple vegan friends, and I love them. I get along with them, and
I bet they're really healthy.
They're very healthy, yes. The one thing I'm always interested with the vegan, I have some vegan enemies as well. But like vegans always like, not all of them, but like it's like they will either persuade you to stop eating meat or dairy or whatever. Sometimes they will send you things like via email or Facebook or whatever. Like, look at this slaughterhouse video. Yeah. How dare you? Like, all right, I didn't need to look at this cow being, butchered, at first thing in the morning or whatever, So like, that's something that's interesting to me is like, all right, I get it. It's a cause. Save the animals. I love animals. You know? But it's like, I don't, I don't go up to, a vegan friend and I'm like, look at this,
delicious
look at these
steak.
ribs on my grill. Here's a video of these ribs cooking on my grill. What do you think?
Yeah,
I don't do that.
I agree. There are some hardcore vegans. That's why I said it's a loaded word. Like, I think, like I said, if anything, I'm like, oh, I just eat plant-based. And if you get labeled vegan, everybody assumes that you're, you're wearing fucking hemp for all your clothes and you're just living off the earth and shit like that.
Which is fine. Which is
to
great.
each their own. But yeah, no, I hate pushing on people. Like I learned, like my wife never pushed me on anything. She just kept making these amazing fucking meals. And I'm like, this is vegan? I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is incredible. And then you'd have stuff like all the Beyond brands coming out with the burgers.
They're good.
Yeah,
like we just ordered. So we ordered Doomies.
Doomies.
Is that what it's called? Doomies Grill.
Doomies, yeah.
Doomies.
Yep. There's I think it's a Mexican home cooking
Mexican
or whatever.
vegan in Hollywood up
It's
the street
incredible.
from here. And we had that to eat tonight before we did
the
this.
buffalo legs.
We got buffalo legs, which are not chicken, but it's
like this soy seitan like miracle just on a stick.
We got pulled pork sandwich or something,
with
which
the
is
animal
not
style
pulled pork.
fries.
I don't even know what it's made at.
That might be like jackfruit.
See, okay, so here's my thing on jackfruit. All right.
I don't like jackfruit, but yeah.
You don't?
Yeah, I think it's disgusting.
Oh, I thought you liked it.
No. Like
I remember you saying like the jackfruit here is amazing, man.
I just said I promote the shit out of it. I don't like jackfruit at all, but that's just my weird taste.
Fuck jackfruit.
Yeah, fuck jackfruit right in the fucking face, dude. Like I can't stand it.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with jackfruit. All right, look. I have a problem with some of these vegan restaurants.
Yeah,
okay. Not the food. Like the food is good. I like it. I like it a lot. But when we went to like Sugar Taco, now they're gonna hate me. But
be careful. I love those ladies at
no,
Sugar Taco.
I enjoyed the food when we went there. The problem I have is that they some of these places, not all of them, but some of them, most of them, are saying like you go in there and it's like, okay, I want the carne asada burrito, and it says on the menu carne asada burrito. Now, if I walked in there on my own and didn't know what the fuck this place was, like vegan, hut or whatever.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, I want one of those carne asada burrito, And then they're like, then I find out it's made from jackfruit.
Like, yeah, but how would you know? I mean, dude, it's so equivalent. You've eaten it. Like if someone put like
you mean you can't tell the difference between carne asada and jackfruit?
No. Okay. I mean, maybe you can. I don't know. But these things are coming along good. I mean, if you put a blindfold on and I tested you,
I don't know.
I would,
that.
Dude. I mean, I would bet you that you might be fooled.
We might have to do a bet taste test one day.
Yeah, let's do this, dude.
But the problem I have with them doing this is they are advertised. They are okay to use the word carne asada, which is meat, which is meat in Spanish. It's like, yes, that is red meat.
Yeah, we have to make sure we translate that on the screen.
But they're clearly serving jackfruit as the asada.
But you also know that you're going into a vegan restaurant. It's not like a bait and switch.
I get it, but like, why isn't the jackfruit good enough to be jackfruit burrito instead of carne asada?
Because
they are okay. This is my rant. They are okay with using the meat name on their menu to attract people to this food that is not meat. Yet they are okay with using the word meat on their menu.
I think it's great. And
do you think that's wrong?
No, not at all.
It's false advertising.
No, it isn't.
It's a switch and bait, smoke and mirrors.
No, smoke and ribs. You should know that when you're walking in and you're going into a vegan establishment, and it's great. And they're just doing that because they also want to make sure you know that. Think about these like imagine
think
guys
about the meat.
No, but imagine like some guys from like Muscle
else.
Beach just walking in and they want their fucking meats, and wouldn't it be great to fool them with carne asada tacos? And you're like, holy shit! And they go home thinking
why
they
don't
just
they just say jackfruit burrito? tomato on the menu? Because it
that's the
doesn't
thing.
sound as
You
good.
should ask.
Does it
right?
not sound as good? Does it like the
I
word?
think it sounds better, but the beauty is like you can let people know, like, hey guys, there's alternatives. I think in the future is going to be very plant-based and vegan because
I agree, but like I
and it's kind of great.
the only
it's
problem
a
I
great
have is that they're
marketing thing.
using like chicken. like
With
what is that?
With the apostrophe
Yeah.
N, right? Yeah,
It's
the
not chicken, but it's chicken.
Yeah.
It's like
Hey, it's a new era, right? Like this is something weird, like people eating fucking plants. Like
Right.
you're eating like a burger made
It's
from
delicious.
plants.
The Beyond Burgers are
But
delicious.
think
I
about
bought a
that.
pack of those for my wife's
Conceptualize
barbecue.
that.
I think
Oh,
you
yeah.
and your wife
Yeah,
are
the
the only ones
birthday
that
party?
ate it.
Yeah.
And then I had like 15 Beyond Burgers for like 2 weeks, and I just started eating them, and I was like, these are good. And then I bought one on my own, like not inviting
see?
any vegans
It's
over.
fucking made from plants, dude. And I think we're just in this like revolutionary like change where it's like
Yeah.
by calling it certain things, it's a great transitionary period. People to understand there's alternatives and they love it and it's great and they feel good. I mean, I don't know about you, dude. Like I remember the days where I used to go to like Roots Chris and all these fucking amazing places and get a great steak, or even I'd say like a Chili's for burgers. I used to love going there. And I would get a burger and I would eat it. And back then it was always like you'd eat it and you'd feel like shit, but that was like victory. Right now I can take down like 2 Beyond Burgers and 2 of the Beyond sausages, and I feel like I could run a fucking mile, and I feel amazing.
Now, do you agree that these Beyond Burgers and Impossible Burgers are processed?
I mean,
we don't know exactly what's in them.
We know it's plants, and it's one of those things like I've looked at the ingredients and I'm like, yeah, this looks all right. And some of the, at what point, like how far do you dive
Like whatever
down?
it is, it's better than
Yeah,
meat.
it's better for you than meat for
Right.
sure. I mean, they pump all the kinds of steroids and all other garbage in your body. Like it's just even cutting out red meat is going to do wonders for yourself.
Right.
And especially other comedians, it makes your jokes at least 10%
What about
funnier when you
seafood?
cut that
You
shit
don't
out,
eat
so.
seafood, right? No
Nope.
seafood. Now, see, if anything, I've looked at myself and I'm like, maybe I can stop eating red meat, but I think I would still have to have seafood. Maybe I would be pescatarian.
It took me many years. So when I cut all the meat, it was all fish for a while. Like,
Yeah.
we were traveling a
That
lot.
I think I could live a happy, somewhat life.
Just don't catch it from down here where the fucking runoff is. There's all kinds of people
No,
fishing
no,
there.
no,
and
I'm talking
like,
about buying it from
they
Whole
have an
Foods
extra
and shit.
arm, and
Yeah.
I'm like, this is disgusting, dude. They're just eating fish.
What about going out to eat at vegan restaurants like a Gracias Madre?
Oh, yeah.
Now these places are pricey still.
No, not really. No, not compared to like a fucking steak at like a steakhouse.
Okay,
It's-
I've only been to Gracias Madre once. It was
mean-
good, but I was kind of like, they're charging like, I mean, I haven't been in a while, but they're charging like, okay, I don't know what the price is for something. It kind of was like on par with ordering a steak at a
It
restaurant.
can be. Some of them can.
And I was like, this is cauliflower,
Yeah.
and they're charging for a fucking ribeye price. And I was kind of
if
like,
it
where
tastes
are they
the
getting
same?
away with that?
What
I
if
was-
it tastes the same? Does it matter though? Right? You're there for.
well,
Why are you eating it? Are you there to just eat meat? Or you're here for the taste of the
but
meat,
is it
right?
much cheaper to grow cauliflower than to get the grade A steak?
Maybe. I'm not. No, actually, I mean,
I'm looking at it from like a business perspective. Like, yes,
No,
it's
it's a
LA.
great
It's
question.
jacked up the price.
it's jacked
obviously,
fruit
it's
up,
in
you know
it's
what I
in
mean?
Beverly Hills, West Hollywood. But it's like, why is the steak at the restaurant across the street the same price as cauliflower with buffalo sauce?
No,
on it?
that's a mind blowing question. I never really thought
And people
about
are
that.
willing to pay
Yeah.
it because they're at this
the
vegan
quality,
restaurant.
Yes, it's quality food, the way it
Right.
tastes. But no, I mean that's a really good question. I
That's
think
the
part
one
of it, too, is
problem
you're
I
finding-
have with it. I was like,
Yeah.
it's delicious. I'll order it. But like, I just dropped $200 on vegetables. like,
Yeah, but they're
like,
fucking
what the hell?
quality vegetables.
They're
dude.
quality,
They-
but how
they're probably
I'm
fucking
growing
organic.
quality. I'm growing quality vegetables in my makeshift garden that I can't get started.
Except when they're eaten by the rats, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the other thing we have in common. We're
Yeah.
both starting gardens.
Yep.
Yeah.
I picked that up in my pastime. Only thing is, I've had a serious issue as of late. I've had to like basically fortify my entire garden plot.
So you have a community garden.
Yep. In
That you
Playa
pay
Vista,
for
yep.
per year or whatever, and someone's been stealing
Yeah,
your
some
vegetables.
motherfuckers been stealing. There was some conspiracies going on. People thought it may have been a local possum, but I think we've ruled that
A
out.
local boss.
Yeah, a local possum.
Put up pictures. We're looking
Yeah,
for.
yes. And I'll send you a photo if you want of what I've had to do. Someone stole like a shitload of our jalapenos, a bunch of our Texas fire basket.
See, people are
peppers.
stealing vegetables
Yeah,
during quarantine.
I mean, they're stealing from everybody's place. And
I
they're
mean,
making
we
a nice
talked about
fucking
this a little
salad.
bit, but yeah, it's like I'm having the same problem, but with a rat. A
Yeah.
rat is stealing my stuff.
Yeah.
And
Well, some rats stealing mine too. So.
yeah, some homeless rat.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, but that's the thing. It's like I've started to lose my mind with this quarantine gardening thing because it's supposed to be therapeutic.
Yeah.
and it's been stressing me out.
Me
That's
too.
the only thing it's been
Dude,
doing.
I spent $300 getting all this fucking new soil.
Yeah,
I went to this,
$300. How many
Yeah.
fucking vegetables could you have bought for
Dude,
that?
I got like 24 things growing. I went to these fucking nurseries. I'm spending hours. I'm like touching the plant, smelling it, listening to these really weird people explain to you about vegetables more than you need to know, and dealing through all that. And then I plant this shit, and I'm like putting all this effort, and I come back like months of work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pick this shit tomorrow. And there's beautiful jalapenos. I've been singing to this thing for like a week. I can't wait to fucking eat you. And the next day, it's gone. And
That's what happened
that
to my
was
tomato.
Fucking heartbreaking.
I gave the tomato one extra day because it was
Yeah.
like almost ready, and then I came and the rat took
Dude, it's
it.
like someone's clocking you and they're just waiting, like, this motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking, dude. You put all this effort into it. So I basically went to Home Depot, spent like another $100.
See?
And I got like a fucking
That could have been
gate.
an appetizer at Gracias Madre.
Easily, dude, easily. And maybe a couple drinks, you know? To be
One
fair.
drink and
yeah, one
cauliflower.
drink and
That's
some
it.
fucking jackfruit burgers and
But
shit.
you hate jackfruit.
No, I know. Sugar tacos got a good jackfruit, but yeah, it just doesn't work for me. I like that carne asada alternative that you hate.
See, you're using that word. I'm gonna start fining vegans for using carne asada.
Yeah.
No,
But it's all gated now, and I have these
That's
little
good.
locks. I got this chicken wire wrapped it around. This thing's like a fucking
yeah,
fortress.
you inspired me. I watched your Instagram story with
Yeah.
the chicken wire, and I was like, I gotta do that
You
shit.
gotta do it. I mean, people thought it maybe this homeless guy, or I don't know, he's not homeless. I guess if he lives in an RV.
Veggie thief.
Yeah, veggie thief. He's kind
Like
of
the
down the street.
Hamburglar from McDonald's,
Yeah,
there's like a
the
veggie
jalapeno burger. He's fucking. He's coming out stealing shit from everybody's garden, or it may have been these old senile motherfuckers that live in this big building by us.
Now, how is the community garden? Now, do you meet other people that are like gardening?
I
and
do,
you're, like,
yeah.
You start talking to them.
Yeah, I do. It's nice. I'm out there working in the morning. I basically water it every morning. It's kind
See,
of.
I'm
my
wondering
process.
if I should just move. Like, you saw my thing in the backyard. It's like a little raised bed. Maybe I should go to a community garden. Maybe I'd have more luck there.
I have a little more protection. People are looking out for each other now.
People,
I went crazy and I just.
people are looking out for each other.
Yeah,
in the
dude, they're looking out for
community
your
garden.
veggies. So
yeah.
I boxed up my whole thing, so I'm good. I have little fucking travel locks on my chicken wires.
You have to lock up.
Yeah, I
your
lock
garden.
up. I got my jalapenos on locked.
This is the problems that people deal with in LA. They have to lock
Yeah.
up their
It's
garden.
first world fucking problems. We have too many vegetables. People are stealing. It's awful.
Yeah. I mean, it is crazy. It's when you think about it, it's just like all for a fucking tomato
Yeah.
that you could have bought.
I
at the
just don't
store.
deal well with people stealing things from me. You know, like
No.
it just really bothers me in my core.
Well,
You know,
speaking of stealing, we're going to get into one of your stories right after the break. So we'll be right back with Obie the Comedian.
Hang tight. We'll be back with this week's asshole right after this. You're listening to the I'm an Asshole with Doug Bass podcast.
All right, we are back with Obie the Comedian.
hello.
Obie. So Obie the Comedian. So how do you come up with the Obie? That's not your real name, right?
Yeah, no, it's a nickname. It's actually a family nickname. My dad used to be always called that by his buddies at work. Because my last name's O'Brien, so
Oh,
Obie's a short nickname for that. And I came up with the comedian after my name. 'Cause my mom, always growing up, I was always doing dumb shit or funny shit, and she's like, "Oh, he's such a comedian." So I just kind of stuck with that. And my real name's Sean, but I just don't go by that. I like to keep
Right.
A good stage name out here. It's kind of like
Well, that's a good stage name.
yeah, it's
Obie,
like
because
Eminem and Marshall Mathers.
I've
kind of
never
thing.
met another Obie before. So
It's like Obie Trice, but that's
Right.
about it.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, Obi-Wan.
There you go. All right, so this is the I'm an Asshole podcast. You are here for a specific reason,
'Cause I'm an
other
asshole.
than being funny. We dive into a story or stories when you were at one time in your life that you may have been an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you sent me a couple things. I was looking at them. So when you were a small child, let's start out there.
That's
So
where it began.
That's where it began.
That's where the asshole tendencies began.
Right. So you mentioned to me that you had sliced up a leather bar stool
Yeah.
in a Harley Davidson shop.
Yeah, I was pro-vegan back then before even knowing it. Yeah, no, I was a little kid, and my parents are really big into motorcycles. They have like a Honda
Okay.
Red Wing or one of those things. They're big into bikes, and they went into a Harley Davidson shop. And I remember I must have been like 8 or 9. And they left me like sitting by the counter, and on the counter were these like a whole fucking pile of razor blades.
Just
And-
out?
Yeah, just out. right?
What kind of Harley
I
Davidson
know,
truck?
exactly. We'll circle back to that. So, I was like very impatient. I was definitely a shitbag kid. Like I was just off the walls, definitely hard to handle. Props to my parents for not killing me. So I'm sitting there and I'm getting frustrated. And I remember like after my mom reminded me of the story years ago, I remember sitting there and just getting this ball of anger, just being left alone. And so I did this razor blade and I was bored. So I started doing these like slices into the actual like stool in between my legs, just kind of that no one could see me. And I just kept fucking slicing. And I must have sat there for about 15 minutes and I just fucked up the entire thing.
So this is a stool like that people would sit on to wait or something?
No,
like that?
yeah, it was kind of like a weird like bar setup, and you'd sit there behind like the cash
So your
register.
parents are cruising at potential Harleys for themselves.
They're looking at it, and here I am just slicing away, just being a fucking asshole kid, not giving a fuck at all. And I was just so mad. And then so I ended up slicing up the whole fucking seat, and then no one really noticed it because then I covered it up because I was like, oh no, I'm gonna get in trouble, right?
What'd you use to cover it up?
My butt. I was just sitting there on it.
You left your butt there when you left?
Yeah, I did. Left my ass there. And so when we had to leave, I guess the owner had seen me doing it. I guess he had like a camera and then saw me doing it, and then he ran out and got my parents' license plate. So we go home, and I'm the whole time
So
thinking,
your parents did not buy Harleys.
No.
Now, if they had bought 2 Harleys,
maybe they would have looked past it. Yeah,
let him destroy
fuck it.
whatever
You can have
stool
the
he
seat.
wants.
Take it home. Here's some more razor blades. You know what I mean? So they get home, and I tell my parents what happened because the guy's trying to make him pay for it. I think it was like a $1,400 like expense because I destroyed this leather.
The stool was that much money?
Apparently.
Oh
And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And so my parents were like, you left fucking razor blades out on your counter.
Yeah,
Our
exact-
small
that's what I
child
said.
could have like died or cut himself.
Right.
And so as soon as
What
they
if you
did,
were suicidal?
Yeah,
You're like, oh,
exactly.
perfect. They're right here.
Exactly. I didn't get the toy that Christmas. So just slice it
Right.
and just fade away. And so I was like, my parents were like, are you fucking kidding me? Like our son could have cut himself on these razor blades. And so they're like, we're not paying for this. And the guy just kind of dropped it. My parents said something about like legalities of the child and stuff like that. So that was it. But yeah, no, I just remember just sitting there, just a ball of fucking hate, just slicing away.
That's interesting. Like when you're a child at a store or something and you ruin something. I did something like that once. My sister and I remember we were in a store called Service Merchandise.
I remember those.
I don't know if you remember.
I remember
what
those.
What was that noise? Someone
That was a fucking goose or something just flew over. Jesus.
We were at a store called Service Merchandise.
Yes, I
Plug
remember
to them.
those.
They're not in business anymore, but it was in Wayne, New Jersey.
Yep.
But it's like a furniture store or whatever. And like my parents would always drag us to these fucking places like Friday nights, Saturday nights. Probably the same age as you, 9, 10.
Yeah, I think it was a weekend too. I'm like,
And
why
it's
the
like,
fuck are we here?
It's like, oh my god, like like the only thing we looked forward to doing that is like we'd get ice cream afterwards or something.
Yep, yeah, that's what it was. It was a fucking ice cream. Yeah.
So, but like I remember my sister and I like playing around with like the furniture and like one of those like swivel lazy boy chairs. I was like rocking back and forth, like being an idiot. And I knocked over an entire like lamp set that was behind it, and the whole thing went crash.
Yeah.
And then I just remember like my sister being like, "Duh, what are you doing?" And then my mom,
She rat you
my
out?
mom like saw it happen, and they ran over and just grabbed my hand, and we all just left the store. Like just like rushed out, like before a manager could come over.
Dude, that's
and
a
be
boss
like,
right there.
"Excuse me,"
She's like, she knew what she was doing. She's
'Cause,
like, get him the fuck out
you don't
of
want to
here.
get stuck
Well,
paying for this.
in
shit.
a store like that, if you break like merchandise, I feel like, maybe they could be like, if you already have your credit card or something, they can actually charge you or whatever.
Right.
But this was like, if you destroyed something, I'm like, what are they going to do? We already left and they got the license plate. And I always wonder, like, what I want to know is that, maybe I was really young. I'm like, how the fuck did they know to call our house? Like, this was back in the 90s. And
They
I'm
had
like,
your parents' information, potential buyers. For
yeah, maybe.
Harleys.
I'm like, maybe, because I was like, how do they know to call us by going out to get the license plate? I mean, did they have a friend at the fucking DMV who then gave up our information? Because it was like,
Yeah,
that was
that
weird.
is- that
I
is
never
weird.
understood that.
Now your parents are Harley drivers.
No, they were looking at. They were. I think
They-
after I sliced up the chairs, they were like, "Nah, maybe we shouldn't touch."
Oh, so
Harleys."
they don't ride.
No, they still ride. They're kind of nearing their end of their riding days. Not because
Right.
they're too old and gonna die, but just more like they probably can't ride anymore because they are getting old.
Okay.
And
So,
may
but did they
die.
ever own a Harley?
You know what? I think my dad had one when he was really younger, but I don't really remember.
Did you ever get the urge to ride?
No, not really. The only thing I ride is a bicycle.
You
That's
look like
about
you
it.
could pull that off, though.
I definitely could, and maybe like in a TV show or something, I'll get the role of like a fucking badass biker with nice hair. But,
right. Harley
well,
Davidson
yeah.
and the vegan
Yeah, exactly.
gang.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Imagine that just we're rolling with like a big tough vegan gang.
I would watch that.
Yeah,
That would probably do well these days.
You know what? I should add that to the
You should write
pilot
that.
ideas.
You should write
know what I
that
mean?
script. I like that idea. All right. Well, that is kind of an asshole thing, I would say, destroying other people's property. But I think we've all been there. I think we've all done stuff like that.
Yep.
Whether it's out of boredom.
I think it's a rite of passage for an asshole, right?
Right.
As a kid, you start early, you do something assholish so you can kind of get that thrill.
It's interesting today, though. It's like I don't know how old you are, but
35.
35. Okay, so we're like 4 years apart. But like
Are
today,
you 31?
yes, I'm 31. Yeah, thank you. Exactly. But today it's like kids. I mean, I don't think parents go to stores with their kids these days because of Amazon and everything.
Yeah.
So it's like these kids are not like dealing with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe like destroying stuff, accidentally breaking a vase.
I
or
think
whatever.
I think parents these days, I mean, have it so much harder in some other ways. But I think in some ways, like, they don't know what it's like, and I feel bad for the kids. They don't know what it's like to go and hide. Remember, like, you go into like a Macy's or a Sears, you used to always hide from your parents inside the
I used
shirts.
to hide in like the clothing racks.
Yeah, me too.
Which I also knocked over once. Entire clothing.
Of course, I did too. I fell asleep in one once, and my mom was looking for an hour and a half, and they had to call the security to find me, and they found me because my little foot was hanging out.
You were just in there the entire time.
Because I just fell asleep because my mom used to let me run around.
I always had the secret desire to like hide in one of those and like
Overnight.
the store clothes. Yeah, exactly.
Like a Home Alone 2 or something.
Yeah, something like that. Like how do you pull that off? You know, like who is really looking like? How do they know everyone is out of that damn mall when that thing closes?
And I don't think security guards are checking in the fucking racks for small children.
No. And if they
pedophiles might be, but I don't think security guards are.
That's the new thing. Pedophiles will go to malls and search the clothing racks.
Dude, that's their favorite spot from what I hear. I don't know personally. I'm just saying.
Look what I found.
Yeah,
like,
a small child. Get him!
I'm looking. Can I help you, sir? No, I'm looking for a small child in the t-shirt.
Do you have any?
Bin. Oh my God. That is, I mean, that's the small child being trafficked.
Yeah,
in a clothing bin.
Parents are lucky. Like now, a little kid can be a shit and like destroy your Amazon Prime box when you pick it up. That's about it.
Yeah,
that's the worst case
that's the new
scenario.
thing. It's like Amazon theft off the sidewalk, off the front door, or whatever.
Yeah,
yeah. So another time you were an asshole. Let's move to college years.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you were an RA.
Yes.
A resident advisor.
I was.
Now, why don't you tell me how good of a resident advisor you were?
I was the absolute best for sure. I'm sure if we can get some people
Where
to
did you go to school?
that. UMass Lowell.
Okay.
Yep, and I was an RA at Fox Hall. And
shout out.
Yeah, Foxy boys. And yeah, no, it was great. I was definitely on the edgier side of RA. Like I very rarely wrote people up, but I think I was very well respected.
You were
in that
the cool
way.
RA.
Yeah, I was definitely the cool RA, for sure. Like I used to on the weekends, I would go out with I'd rent the RA dolly, and I would go to the liquor store and I would buy 4 30 racks. I'd have like 120 beers, and I would sell them to all my residents. And
so that was illegal.
Yes, definitely.
Many underage kids.
Yes, definitely was. I think now at this point, like whatever that time frame is, I think I'm safe. So I can't get in trouble for it.
No, I think you're all right.
Yeah.
No one's listening to this anyway, by the way.
They might do. Now that I'm on it, you never know.
That's
This
true.
could explode.
True,
You know.
yeah. The vegans will definitely.
I know the vegans will come together to do.
They will, and
they'll
they'll hate
jackfruit all over this.
They'll send hate mail. But
Yeah.
I am pro-vegan.
Yeah, good.
Again, I'm reminding
exactly.
you.
Yeah, no, and so the reason I did that was because that way I could monitor how much they drank, right? So them stealing a bottle of Goldschlager and then drinking too much and getting fucked up.
Okay, so you would hand out like, okay,
I keep a little checkboard.
3.
Yeah, I'm like,
done.
all right, you've got 7 beers and what you're capable of. You're very small, so you're only gonna get 3.
Right.
Like I would just
because like as an RA, like from what I remember, is like you have to be there the whole weekend or whatever.
Most of the time, you had shifts and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I was kind of doing all these security booth things where you had like when people come into Foxhall, you could work there. That's how RAs made money. And then you had every week you had to do like 4 shifts because we had like a bigger building, and so that was pretty easy. But no, I mean, I was an RA and I had a lot of fun with my residents. I used to, I probably shouldn't be admitting this, but I used to always key into their rooms and I used to pull pranks on them all the time.
What?
Yeah. We had a master key.
So you had a key to everyone's dorm.
Yeah, everybody on my side. So it was all males. So just to be clear, there was no females on my side.
Wasn't co-ed.
Yeah, no, it was co-ed on the other side. So I had a female,
you didn't have that key.
I had a female RA on the other side, and then all the females were there, and then the males were on my side.
Right.
So we used to key into people's rooms, and just some silly shit, like just kind of asshole stuff. We used to replace this one guy. He's really big into this opera music, waking him up so he'd be very peaceful. And we changed out his disc. That was his alarm in the morning.
Is there another RA doing this with you?
No, I just say we so it doesn't sound as bad.
Okay,
it was just me doing it. I
the
pretend
other
like
the other guy. The other guy's who idea was originally.
Exactly. Who then kind of pushed pressure me to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So you're going into people's rooms, which is definitely illegal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, I appreciate that because it's like kind of a throwback to like a you know, like a college 80s movie, like
Yeah.
a Porky's or like
You get away with a lot.
college slumber
Yeah.
party massacre 3 or whatever, you know, like something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But it's like, okay, so you would go in and you do pranks on people.
Yeah.
Like freshmen, sophomores.
Yeah, it was a mix of people, but I kind of did it just to stay relevant and cool with them, and really they loved it because I was always like funny, right? Like there was
What kind of prank would you do? To someone?
well, we'd go into someone's kids. Like I said, the person who had the opera music waking up every morning for his alarm, we changed with heavy metal music. So when it came on, it just was like loud as fuck, and used to have it up, and it would crank up the music. That scared the shit out of him. That was just kind of a short-lived one, but that was fun.
He shit his pants.
Yeah, he shit his pants. He woke up and shit himself. We would fill up someone's entire fucking room with balloons. When they were sleeping, we'd put little water cups everywhere, and then we
They had no idea you did this in the middle of the
No,
night.
I was wearing my little fucking black hoodie, and I was like a goddamn ninja.
black hoodie.
Yeah. I would set up little cups of water all over the floor, and then I'd open the door really quickly and say, "There's a fire! Get out!" Which is also illegal to yell. And they would come and run out, and they would be, and I'd wake them up, and I'd have a fucking loud alarm too, so it would scare the shit out of them, so they'd be panicked, and that way they wouldn't really think. They would just do whatever I say, and they would run and fall into all the water and be completely soaked.
Oh my god.
We used to light people's door handles on fire. We'd knock on it.
What?
You take a little lighter fluid, and you just light it, and they'd open the door to a big fire. We well, sometimes it'd run up the door.
A wall of fire. You set the dorm on fire.
Yeah, I know. We did a lot of dumb shit. And then I think one of the guys, we changed all his clothes, all of his shirts, and nice dress shirts. We went to a 7-Eleven and bought him all these like fairy and fucking ponytail, pony like shirts, and replaced all of his stuff.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, just stupid shit like that. But just anything that could inconvenience someone, I loved doing.
So that's intense. I mean, I like that because that's the kind of stuff like I would always like want to do. Or
Yeah.
try like, you know, maybe I would do something like that. But like, yeah, as an RA, it's
I push
almost
the boundaries.
like
Yeah.
you're like, oh my god, this is like.
Yeah.
I should not be an RA, but I have these keys.
Everybody I tell these stories to, they're like, dude, how the fuck were you an RA? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. So did anyone ever complain?
No,
against you?
I got really lucky. I mean, every year I was an RA, or every semester I had
Every year they renewed your RA.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, I was rated like one of the best RAs in the building. Like, cause that was the thing, is people like enjoyed that.
So these guys became your friend, pretty much.
Honestly, by being an asshole in that regard, I got respect in a good
And no
way
one
in
was
college.
hurt.
No one was. We never crossed any boundaries. Nothing extreme.
So you would get them drunk enough, and then you would go fuck with them.
Yeah, exactly.
This guy's had enough.
Yeah,
he won't know we're in
It
there.
was just about control. That's what it is
Yeah.
in art. You get to control what they're doing, how much they're drinking. I never had any issues, and they would appreciate that.
That is
respect
kind of
that.
like classic, like 80s movie humor.
like
though,
Animal House or some shit.
Animal House, like
Yeah.
what was that other one? Like PCU, like that
Yeah.
kind of shit, like frat stuff. Were
Yeah.
you in a frat?
No.
This was your version of frat.
There was no official frats at UMass Lowell, but I mean, the way I always like list it, well, no, no official ones. There was a lot of like ones that wanted to
This
be.
was the Obie frat.
Yeah, no. I used to actually go to some frat parties. I was one of the few RAs that was allowed to go because of how big of an asshole and cool I was. So that's how I judge how successful I was in my college career as an RA.
That's very interesting. That would not fly today, though.
No.
Right?
Nope, that would not fly.
Isn't that kind of sad in a way?
Yeah, it's changed. I mean, some ways for the better.
Obviously this is illegal and people could get hurt and all this
Yeah,
shit. But
exactly.
like the pure
The
fun
innocence.
of like a good prank
Yeah.
or like fucking around like that or whatever. You know, it's like
now, I mean, we used to
do
throw like
shit.
flour on kids. Now, like gluten, I have a gluten allergy.
Right,
and
yeah,
it's like,
someone might die now.
yeah, now they might die in the fucking shower, and it's like, it's just insane. It's just sad.
It's like you can't even have that stuff in movies these days.
The world's gotten a little too soft, and I think it's comedians and everybody, comedy writers, it's
Especially
our
with
jobs.
stand-up comedy. It's like you don't know,
Yeah.
you don't know what to say anymore.
It's really frustrating, especially me starting out. It's a great perspective because it's like, I think it's unfair because I think the beauty of comedy is like comedy itself is supposed to push boundaries. You're not supposed to always be PC. Because that's like another form of control. That's not letting people like voice their opinions, laugh at shit they may find funny that maybe would bring down some of the pressure that's growing from all these things. Now I'm saying don't be dropping N-words and shit that you shouldn't do. Like there's things that just shouldn't exist anymore.
Kind of like talk how you would like to talk in a normal society and obviously what is right.
Yeah.
But don't,
Yeah, overdoing it with like Me Too jokes or racist shit like isn't funny. But there are other comedians that can do it and know how to toe the line elegantly. That it's like you can respectfully laugh, right, and know your place in it. And I think that's why it's comedy's job to push
That's the
those
thing
boundaries.
that's hard. It's like because it's like even with like I came up with like a bit the other day about like the Wayfair thing or whatever, like the trafficking thing, and I was like I told them to my wife and I was like that's kind of funny, but like I don't know if it's you know,
It's tough.
some people might be like, that's horrible. You know,
I was
like,
at the. I know.
know.
No, but then sometimes you got to fucking lob it out there and see what kind of reaction you get.
Yeah, which we can't even do right now.
Yeah,
because there's no open mic. I mean, you could do it on a Zoom or
I
with
know.
your friends or on a podcast.
I have a
whatever.
great joke that I've been like a COVID joke that I've been like that's like made in Twitter and then did that whole kind of take a screenshot of it. But I'm like hesitant to put it up because I'm like like it's very light, but I'm like fuck, like what if it just gets like negative blowback, you know?
Well, that's that's what's scary, I think, about trying stuff out on Twitter or Instagram
Yeah.
or whatever, because it is like, if it's good, like great,
Yeah.
like you'll be praised and people share it or whatever. But if it's like, oh, that's too much.
And
Like,
especially me just starting, I'm like, oh, like
I
where
don't
do I want
know,
to go?
yeah.
Like, what if that like breaks out? Like, oh, this guy's like he fucking pushes
right.
boundaries.
That's kind of like why like I've felt like doing this podcast. It's like, I can come on here and try material out
Yeah.
with friends, guests, or just kind of go solo on here and start ranting
Yeah.
on stuff, and I'll put it out there. And it's like, first of all, I don't know if anyone's listening to this.
I think
or,
hundreds are.
Yeah,
I
and then it's like, okay, even if I think that sucked, at least I have like an audio journaled version of it now that I can go back
Yeah.
and be like, what did I just say? I think
Yeah.
that's funny,
You know what the problem too I'm having is I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, as being a like starting out comedian, is like trying to figure out like what's funny, because you start to learn that just because like everything's funny doesn't mean it's like stand up funny.
Right.
And that's what I've been working through. And I think your podcast is great because you get to experiment with jokes, and it's not like, hey, like this whole time I'm going to talk about one thing, and if you find it offensive, you're offended by the whole thing. Like you get to try out different jokes, and if you have a 55-minute segment, it's not the one thing that people are going to be hung up on. Like we may say something that people don't like, but then you move on to the next minute and it's another topic.
Exactly.
I think
It's
that's
like
why
some
podcasts-
people might find those asshole moments of yours
Yeah.
very offensive.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the next one, which we're going to backtrack, go back in time a little
Excellent.
bit to when
Bring
you
it
were in
back.
high school.
Mhm.
So you used to throw AOL discs at people?
No, not directly
Okay,
at
all right.
people.
Go
So,
into this. What is this?
I don't know if anybody. This is probably for the older people, but there used to be these free Net Zero.
Yeah,
Remember
I-
that Net Zero?
I think we're all old enough to remember. The
Yeah.
free 20 hours of AOL
Yeah.
or Net Zero.
It was the
whatever.
Net Zero. We'd get the internet access and the AOL, and then I used to take those discs from those little fucking like stand-up things at FYE or whatever, or GameStop. And I used to walk past the food court, and I would have the disc out, and I would just throw it like a frisbee into the crowd, and just keep walking. Like I,
That
just for
makes
the
more
fuck of it.
sense.
I mean,
like you wrote me this email, and I read it as like you were using them as like ninja stars.
No, because honestly, I perfected the subtle art of just doing it quickly as you
Yeah.
walk by. You just do a little wrist flick, and it just zips, and you see it out of the corner of your eye. Just do this beautiful.
Now, see,
like,
I
art.
find that funny too. That's something I would have done.
Yeah.
I probably did do.
I
Stuff
mean, I
like
could be
that.
hitting people right in the face, but I don't know.
That's the thing. It's like, oh my god, that could like cut someone's eye or
Yeah.
something. Like if it hits
yeah.
the right
See,
way.
A
you know?
non-asshole would feel that way and go, "Oh, that might hurt someone," but the asshole's like, "Fuck it, it could be funny."
Isn't it weird? Like when you think about doing this stuff, like treating people or like throwing things at people. It's so funny when you're like, middle school, high school. I don't know.
Oh, I
like-
would never do it now, 100%.
But like, but where is that? Where is that moment where like we snap and it's like, no, I'm not gonna throw that fucking CD.
I
at
think it's
someone,
after
you know?
college. Honestly, my
Like,
worst
is it
years.
you graduate senior year
Yeah.
of college and you're like, no, I can't do that.
I think there's a transitionary period for the creatives like us that I think after college you have 1 year to kind of figure that out, whether you're
Right.
gonna like, because you may use that in something in your life, and that might be like a defining thing for you, like this guy's edgy and does shit, like if you go into comedy or acting, right? But I think everybody else starts to do this thing where like, I probably shouldn't do this anymore. If I
Yeah.
hit some little kid in the eye like with a disc and it hurts them, and then someone said, because there's cameras everywhere now too. I
That's
feel like there
true.
wasn't as good like camera
No,
shit
you
in
can't get
malls.
away with as much shit now. I think.
Yeah, they could have this backwards technology that would see where it was from, and they
Right.
could time it to where I walked, and like, it was that guy.
But that's the interesting thing. Also, it's like it's like if I ever have a kid, it's like okay, the kid starts doing stuff like that, like
I would
throwing
encourage
things.
Encourage it.
It's kind of like, oh my god, that is funny.
It's a rite
but
of
it's
passage.
like you got to be like, hey, don't fucking do that. It's like, what is wrong?
Well,
with you,
like I said, I feel like if someone's hurting someone, don't do it. If you don't know you hurt them, it's okay to do it. Right.
Right.
The disc maybe it didn't hit anybody. I don't know.
Right.
It's like that
for
Schrodinger's
all,
cat
for
thing,
all
right?
that you thought when you were doing that,
Yeah.
that person was like, oh, 20
Yeah.
hours of free AOL, awesome.
Yeah,
Like, and they went home and installed it.
I
you
can
know?
picture, what if I hit someone in the head and like, what if they're like thinking about killing themselves and like, what I got to live for? I have nothing. And then a fucking 20 hours of AOL disc hits them in the
Right.
head. They go online, they meet the love of their life, and then now they have kids, a home, white picket fence.
There's a million different roads that could have went. They could have
Everybody-
met. They could have signed up for AOL,
Yep.
met the love of their life, or they could have signed up for a chat room as a
Yeah, or they they look up ways to die, and then they spook themselves out and go, "This is too scary."
They're a 50-year-old guy chatting to a 10-year-old boy, and then they're like, "Oh my God, this is exactly what I was looking for."
I know.
Thank you. AOL chat room for free 20
that's
hours.
the negative side. You hope it doesn't go that direction.
No.
But I think
it could.
Yeah, the Schrodinger's cat kind
that's
of thing.
Like
right?
the movie.
It may hit someone,
that's a
it may
short
not hit
film
someone.
right there.
Yeah.
It's like you throw that AOL disc in 1993 or whatever, 4 or whatever it was.
Yeah, we should discuss that. Let's
and
table
then
that.
you see it's like you pick up the stories of how each person used that disc back in 95.
That's brilliant, dude. I think we're gonna have to write that together.
That movie,
dibs.
That movie, and also I think you need to write Obie the RA.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
college romp comedy.
I do have a
takes place in the 90s.
Yeah, I do
whatever,
have a goofy college pilot that I've been working on. I have like a ton of projects. I'm just trying to get off the ground. I feel like I need to find the right people to write with.
Have you been writing a lot?
A ton. Yeah.
Good.
Jokes, pilots, features, and it's like all just kind of outlines. And I got to really kind of just find. It's ironic to say more time to do it, but just find the focus time to do it. I feel like I got to maybe work with some other people that kind of know how to do it to kind of learn from them, because again, I'm just starting out. But I'm not short on content. So if anybody's listening that wants to partner up, I got plenty of shit to use.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, you just put yourself out there, and things like that will happen.
Yeah.
Well, Obie, you really put yourself out there today.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for coming in. It
was a pleasure.
And sharing your a-hole stories and telling us about all kinds of good vegan things. I think there's only one thing left for you to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm Obie the Comedian, and I'm an asshole.
There he is, folks. Obie the Comedian, and he is an asshole. Well, Obie, thanks for coming into the studio.
Absolutely.
We want to remind everyone to eat vegan. Go to Doomy's in Hollywood. Amazing food.
Get the buffalo legs.
Get the buffalo legs. They're so good. I enjoyed them. So eat vegan if you can. Or if you can't, try it and go back and forth if you can't commit 100%. It's okay. But, save the animals.
Yeah. Save yourself.
Save yourself and the animals.
Save the environment.
But you won't save money because they are... They are
find the right
up
places.
The prices.
Or you can just steal from community
gardens.
gardens.
The jackfruit prices up.
Yeah. Or just steal from community gardens like some
or
motherfucker
steal
in
from
Playa
community
Vista.
gardens.
That'll keep your fucking
Don't
costs
steal
down.
from community gardens.
Don't steal from me, though.
Not Obie's community gardens. Other people's, it's fine.
Everybody else, just not this asshole.
And not that asshole. And you can catch Obie doing stand-up comedy when comedy resumes.
Yep.
Whenever that may be.
Definitely follow my Instagram. That's where I'm doing most of my stuff.
He's doing his Instagram. What is your Instagram, by the way?
It's just at Obie the Comedian.
Okay, so follow him at Obie the Comedian.
Yes, please do. I need followers.
On Instagram. He is also looking for creative writing partners. So you can hit him up on there. Maybe something will stem out of that.
Yep.
And that's it. Is there anything else you want to say, Obie?
No, just thanks for having me, and hopefully I can I come back. I got plenty more asshole stories to go around. So.
Well, we'll definitely have you back. We're always looking for more.
Excellent.
All right, Obie the Comedian, folks. Remember, don't be an asshole, but if you are, talk about it. Please follow us on YouTube at Doug Bass Comedy and Asshole Podcast on Instagram, and we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to I'm an Asshole with Doug Bass. Please subscribe to us on all streaming platforms. Follow Doug on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Doug Bass Comedy. Thank you for listening, and remember, don't be an asshole. But if you are, talk about it. Have a good asshole story? Email us at doug@dougbasscomedy.com. We'll see you next time.